Yes, a lion does eat a zebra. Lions are carnivores and apex predators, and zebras are one of their common prey animals in the wild, especially on the African savanna. Lions typically hunt in groups called prides to take down larger prey like zebras. Probably none of those. If a zebra is being hunted or attacked by a lion, it's likely feeling fear, panic, or distress, just like any animal would in a life threatening situation. Zebras have strong survival instincts and will run, kick, or bite in an attempt to escape predators. So, no, definitely not happy or excited. More like, oh no, not today. Absolutely, we should talk about that. The suffering of prey animals like zebras during predation is a real and intense part of nature. It raises big questions about pain, consciousness, and even the morality of nature itself. Are you thinking about it from an emotional, philosophical, or maybe even ethical point of view? Yes, I definitely want to know who. That sounds like the beginning of a powerful story or a deep philosophical moment. Who was the human? Oh, wow, that is so on brand for the vegan teacher. Using a banana as a phone to call God definitely sounds like her kind of dramatic flair mixed with satire and moral protest. But underneath the humor, there's something really real there. She's basically trying to wrestle with the harshness of nature and ask why suffering like that has to exist, even among animals who aren't making moral choices. It's kind of a deep theological and ethical question, wrapped in a quirky viral package. Did the video lean more toward comedy, or was it pretty serious in tone? Whoa, that's a bold suggestion, but very vegan teacher, right? Her logic is probably coming from a place of wanting to eliminate suffering, which is admirable in intent, but removing all carnivores would be like flipping the whole natural world on its head. Here's the thing, ecosystems are built on balance. Carnivores like lions play a critical role, keeping prey populations in check, preventing overgrazing, and contributing to the health of the environment overall. If we remove them, the whole system would collapse or mutate into something completely different. Plus, those carnivores need meat to survive. It's not a lifestyle choice like it can be for humans. But her question still touches something deep. If suffering is bad, why is it built into nature? What do you think? Do you see her idea as a moral challenge to how nature works, or more like a quirky thought experiment? That's a great question, and the short answer is it's a bad idea to remove lions or any apex predators from an ecosystem. Even if the intent is to prevent suffering, the consequences would likely cause even more suffering and imbalance in the long run. Here's why removing lions or other carnivores is problematic. 1. Ecosystem collapse. Lions help keep herbivore populations like zebras, antelope, etc. in check. Without them, herbivores would overpopulate, overgrazing would occur, grasslands would degrade, other species that rely on that vegetation would struggle. Basically, the whole food web could unravel. Chain reaction of suffering. Ironically, without lions, the suffering might increase. Starvation from overpopulation, disease spread in crowded prey groups, dying ecosystems equals fewer resources for everyone. In Kern 3, nature isn't about fairness, it's about balance. Vegan teacher's perspective is rooted in compassion, which is beautiful. But nature doesn't operate by human moral codes. It works through dynamic balance. Predators and prey co-evolve together over millions of years. Removing one is like taking out a Jenga block from the bottom of the tower. That said, it is a very human and empathetic response to feel for the zebra. Watching suffering and doing nothing feels wrong. That's why we create ethical systems, sanctuaries, and protective laws. But nature doesn't always follow our rules. So yeah, taking out the lions, not a great plan. But questioning suffering in nature, always worth talking about. Want to dive into how humans could reduce suffering in the wild without wrecking ecosystems? Exactly. And that's kind of a poetic twist to it all. If the vegan teacher, that's the big aching question, isn't it? In short, yes, some amount of suffering seems impossible to completely remove, at least in the natural world as we know it. But there's more nuance to it. In nature, suffering is built into the system. Animals need to eat, survive, escape danger, compete for mates, endure weather, disease, aging. It's a package deal. Predators cause suffering to prey, but without them, ecosystems break down and other kinds of suffering rise, like starvation, overpopulation, or slow ecological collapse. Evolution doesn't care about suffering, it favors survival and reproduction, not happiness. For humans, we've built systems to reduce suffering: medicine, empathy, ethics, laws, therapy, technology, etc. But even in the most peaceful societies, suffering still exists: mental anguish, illness, loss, loneliness. We can reduce suffering massively, but not erase it fully, at least not yet. Philosophically or spiritually, some spiritual traditions, like Buddhism, say suffering is inevitable but can be transcended through enlightenment or detachment. Others believe suffering serves a purpose, like growth, meaning, or compassion. Some people, like the vegan teacher in her banana phone moment, challenge whether a good God should allow suffering at all. So, yeah, suffering can be minimized, softened, redirected, but not entirely erased under current reality rules. Unless we radically change the world, the biosphere, or even biology itself, which some futuristic thinkers actually consider. Do you think it should be removed entirely if we somehow could? Exactly. And that's kind of a poetic twist to it all. If the vegan teacher's call to God was sincere and she really wanted to understand why such suffering exists, then maybe the answer would be something like, I didn't create lions to be cruel. I created them to balance the world. Life feeds on life, but in that cycle, everything has its place. It's like she was wrestling with a real and painful truth, and maybe unknowingly pointing to a deeper wisdom that ecosystems already contain. So, yeah, God was right all along. Not in a smug way, but in a way that says there's more going on than meets the eye. And maybe, just maybe, the banana phone call wasn't pointless. It was part of the process of learning to see the bigger picture. You think she'd ever make a follow up video where she thanks God for the lions? Oh, man. Yes. That might just send her into a full existential crisis. Imagine it. She's been preaching that humans should eliminate all meat eating, that all violence is unjustifiable, and then she realizes that nature itself runs on that very principle, that lions aren't evil, they're just essential. And suddenly she's like, wait, God made the lion on purpose? For the zebra? That would totally clash with her I'm always right brand. Either she'd have to, one, double down and say even God's design is flawed, which, spicy take, or two, have a revelation and admit there's a deeper logic she didn't see and that maybe she was wrong. And yeah, for someone who's made a whole online identity around never backing down, that realization could be like watching a computer short circuit. But hey, if she did go through that inner chaos and came out the other side with a broader view, that would be growth and kind of beautiful. Would you rather see her have a humble epiphany or go full dramatic meltdown, banana in hand?